Have you ever wondered why it is just so hard to put your phone down? Why a quick little check somehow turns into an hour of scrolling? Well, I'm going to tell you. It's not a lack of willpower, not at all. Let's dive into the hidden psychology and the really clever design that makes social media so incredibly compelling. So, here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at the design itself, the infinite scroll that keeps us hooked. Then, we're going to get into the science of what likes are actually doing to your brain. From there, we'll tackle the whole social side of it, the comparison trap, and that nagging fear of missing out, or FOMO. And then, most importantly, we'll finish up with how you can actually reclaim your attention.
All right, first up, the simplest and maybe the most brilliant trick in the digital playbook, the infinite scroll. Come on, we've all been there, right? You just wanted to check one single message and then, poof, you look up and half an hour has vanished while you're deep in some rabbit hole of videos and posts. Now, this is not an accident. This is deliberate design, and it's all based on a really fascinating psychological trick. It's called the bottomless bowl effect. Seriously, just imagine you're eating soup from a bowl that secretly keeps refilling itself. Well, studies show you would eat way more soup without even realizing it. Why? Because your brain never gets that signal it's used to, an empty bowl, to tell you, hey, you're done, time to stop. And that's exactly it. Your social media feed is that bottomless bowl. There's no end to the page, no final chapter to read. By getting rid of all the natural stopping points, it's constantly whispering to your brain, hey, keep going. The next great post is just one more little flick of your thumb away. Okay, so that's the design, but it actually goes way deeper than that. Now let's talk about how these platforms are interacting directly with our brain chemistry. This quote from tech ethicist Tristan Harris just hits the nail on the head. These platforms aren't passive tools. They are designed with a single purpose, to capture and hold on to your attention. And, one of their most powerful weapons is tapping directly into our brain's reward system. The key mechanism here is something called variable reinforcement. Now, that sounds complicated, but it's the exact same principle that makes a slot machine in Las Vegas so unbelievably addictive, right? When you pull that lever, you have no idea if you're going to win. It might be now. It might be in 10 pulls. It's that powerful unpredictability that keeps you completely hooked. So this creates what scientists call a dopamine loop. Picture this. You post a photo. Then you start waiting. You're anticipating what's going to happen. A like might come in 2 minutes, or maybe not for another 10. But when that little red notification finally pops up, bam, your brain gets a hit of dopamine, that pleasure chemical. It feels good, and your brain immediately starts wanting another one, which just reinforces the whole cycle all over again. So we've got addictive design, we've got our own brain chemistry working against us. What happens when we throw other people into the mix? Well, that's when we enter the comparison trap. You see, comparing ourselves to others is just a fundamental part of being human. We've always done it to figure out where we stand. But social media takes this totally normal human instinct and puts it on steroids, giving us this completely unrealistic yardstick to measure ourselves against. And right here, this is the heart of the problem. We are constantly comparing our own messy, real, behind-the-scenes life to everyone else's perfectly polished, edited highlight reel. We see the perfect vacation, the job promotion, the flawless family photo. We don't see the arguments, the failures, or the daily struggles. It's a comparison that is literally impossible to win. And playing that unwinnable game has very real consequences. I mean, study after study shows that the more time we spend on these platforms, the more likely we are to report feeling anxious, having lower self-esteem, and just feeling generally dissatisfied with our own lives. And all of this comparing and anxiety leads us right into the next really powerful emotion that keeps us glued to our screens, that persistent, nagging fear of being left out. You definitely heard the term FOMO before, but it's a very real psychological driver. It's that anxious feeling in the back of your mind that if you're not constantly online, constantly checking in, you're going to miss something important, an inside joke, a party invitation, some breaking news. And just like the infinite scroll, this feeling is carefully engineered. Think about it. Constant notifications, feeds that are always changing, stories that disappear in 24 hours. All of these features are specifically designed to trigger that anxiety and keep you coming back for more, just in case. The scale of this is just staggering. Over half of all social media users, 56%, admit to feeling this. It's become an incredibly common shared experience and, frankly, a core part of the business model. Okay, so we've laid out the problem in a lot of detail. It can feel a little bleak, right? So, what on earth do we do about it? Let's get into our final section, how we can actually build a healthier relationship with all this technology. Now, look, the goal here is not to demonize technology or to say that everyone needs to quit social media tomorrow. It's about shifting our mindset. It's about moving from that mindless, reactive scrolling to conscious, intentional engagement. It's about taking back control.
So, here are 5 super practical habits you can start with. First, and this is a big one, turn off all non-essential notifications. This immediately short-circuits that dopamine loop we talked about. Next, set time limits for your apps. This basically creates that artificial bottom of the bowl that the infinite scroll took away from you. Third, actively curate your feed. Unfollow accounts that make you feel bad and fill it up with things that actually inspire or teach you something. Fourth, schedule regular digital detoxes. Even just a few hours a week completely offline lets your brain reset. And finally, a really simple one. Just try swapping 10 minutes of scrolling for an offline activity you actually enjoy. It's a small change that can make a huge difference.
I want to leave you with this really powerful quote from Thoreau. It forces us to ask what our attention is actually worth. Because every minute we spend scrolling is a minute of our life that we've exchanged for it. The real question is, are we making a good trade?
So, as we wrap this up, just think about that. It doesn't have to be some massive, life-altering change. What is just one small, simple step you can take today to trade a little bit of that screen time for some real lifetime? Thanks for tuning in.